Hi everybody, this is Em from DIYM. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made this adorable felt ornament. I'm going to show you some stitching techniques and how I decorated it. It's more like one stitching technique actually, but yeah, I just wanted to show you guys the blanket stitch because it can really help if you're making some sort of ornament. It makes things go by a little quicker, I find, as well, more so than other stitches. It's pretty sturdy as well, which is really great. So I'll show you guys how to do this blanket stitch. I'm not the best at it. I'm just going to warn you guys straight off the bat. Not the best, but yeah, I do have a few sewing tricks that I've learned. My mom was a seamstress. I definitely do not have the same talent that she had, but yeah, she was an amazing person. But yeah, I just wanted to show you how I make this. I'd like to make it every year. My husband and I really love to make ornaments and stuff like that every year if we can. It's a lot of fun to try to make this sort of thing, and hopefully you guys have fun too. And if you want, you can decorate the back of these things too. Do whatever you want, but yeah, I just decorated the front side. So I'm going to show you some of the other felt ornaments that I've made in the past, also some that my husband's made in the past. I'm going to also show you a few other random ornaments that we've made and put on the tree. I think it's just a really fun tradition, like how some people like to make cookies. We just like to every year try to make some sort of little ornament just to hang on our tree, like a new thing every year. Super fun. Hopefully in other upcoming videos I'll show you how to make a few other different types of ornaments. But yeah, if you guys always wanted to learn how to make a felt ornament and you don't know how to start with the stitching process, this might be the video for you. And you can use puppy paints, you can use glue to make felt ornaments. There's all sorts of different methods and ways of doing that, so I'll show you, or at least talk about, a few different ways. Okay, so hopefully you like that, and on to the video and the making of this guy. So the things you'll need, or at least the things that I use for this project, are I used a gingerbread die. You don't have to do this. You can always cut out your own shape with felt if you want to. I mean, I'm doing felt ornaments in this specific video, but you can do all sorts of different types of ornaments, obviously. But yeah, I chose to use felt because that's what my husband and I tend to use for this sort of project every year. But yeah, so instead of using dies to just cut paper, I use dies to sometimes cut felt. So I used this particular gingerbread die that came with KS Craft in 2024, I think. There's a whole bundle that I got with this. So this is a stamp and die set, but there's a whole bunch of gingerbread dies that came out with that bundle. So obviously you need felt, you're gonna need some sort of stuffing. I got this a long time ago. I think it was on sale, so this was originally $11.49. This is on sale for $5.74. I don't know, it might be more expensive now, but years ago I got this at a fabric store. And I also need some sort of thread. Obviously it depends on your felt, color you choose. And then I also have a needle with a little hole so you can put the thread through. And you can always use a sewing machine too. I'm just showing you how to stitch by hand. And then I have embroidery scissors. These cut thread pretty well. Embroidery thread, regular thread. It actually is very sharp and it can cut quite a few things, as I've probably shown you guys in a lot of my videos before. And if you want to, you can decorate this beforehand or after you start sewing the pieces together, but I cut out 2 pieces in felt and they're pretty much the same. Doesn't matter if I flip them over, it's pretty much the same thing. So there's a few stitches you can do. I'm going to just show you guys a fairly simple blanket stitch, and I am by no means someone who sews a lot, so please forgive me if I don't meet expectations. As you can see from my channel, I do a lot of different types of projects. Once in a while I will do sewing or fabric projects, but I'm not the best seamstress in the world, and this video is probably going to prove that. I do this at least once a year now. My husband and I have been trying to do this Christmas activity. It's not even a hobby or anything like that. It's just a Christmas activity we do for the last few years, I'd say. He always makes things much better than me, so I kind of wish he was doing this tutorial, but it's funny because I always teach him what to do and then he always does it way better than I do. So hopefully do the same for you guys and inspire you guys to do a better job. We'll see. But yeah, there's so many different ways of decorating this. I might glue this afterwards and decorate it later. So I'm just going to start here. So we'll find the end here. And you can get a lot of thread, a little thread, doesn't really matter. As long as it kind of matches. It doesn't even have to match. If you are really good at sewing and you really want the stitch to show up, you can choose a contrasting color, maybe do a zigzag stitch or something like that, and you do it really well. Or maybe you just like the messy look of the stitches, because sometimes people like that look too. So anyways, I'm just gonna unravel this. I think this is probably too much, to be honest. I'm just gonna unravel that back up. And the thing that you need to look out for is, especially when you have a lot of thread, things can knot really easily. So I'm just gonna double it up. I like to double thread up. Again, you can decorate this beforehand. Maybe you're stitching buttons on or whatever. So I like to, when I'm starting, I gotta figure out where I'm gonna stuff things. So I might actually end up closing things off around here. So maybe I can start up here and work my way around that way. So I like to start things off by going from behind, and you can turn around and look at things if you'd like, but I don't want to go all the way through, if that makes sense. But I like to go back through just a little bit beside that stitch. It's a bit of a loop now, but I want to make a bit of a knot. So I'm just going to go back over. And then when I go back in, I'm basically just pulling it through this loop, and I'm just gonna slowly doing it just so you guys can see what I'm doing, and kind of tangles sometimes because it's so long, this thread, but I'm just pulling it through slowly and creating a knot in the back. I don't love my stitches, that's why I didn't do a contrasting color, but it probably would have showed up better on the camera. So anyways, that's that. And I'm actually going to, I know most people don't like to do this, but this makes things a lot easier for me. I'm just gonna cut off this little bit right here, this little tail, because now I have a bit of a knot here. Okay, so now I'm going to start doing a blanket stitch. So, oh my goodness, I almost forgot. Well, I'll do this later, it's fine. You got to think about right here, this is where I want to hang it, so I might end up stitching some sort of baker's twine or string here. I'll get that out later. But yeah, I'm just going to put this through, and then I like to come from behind and then put that through the loop, and then pull this thread through. I'm going to do it slowly for you guys to see it. And then there you go. That's your first blanket stitch. So it shows up. You want this thing to show up. So I like to go from behind, and you can try to, I'm really bad at planning this, but try to plan whereabouts you're going to have the stitch and approximately how far apart they're going to be. Because I find that that looks a lot better in the end when you actually plan it out a little bit better. I'm a little erratic with my spacing, so you might see that happening. I might forget about doing that throughout this video. I'm hoping that I can actually heed my own advice, but sometimes I'm not the greatest with figuring that out. I think that's why I'm not the best seamstress. But anyways, so that knot situation, see, look, this is actually shorter than this one, but anyways, that situation sort of creates a thread going this way. I don't know if you guys have seen blankets like this. Sometimes the thread can get caught, but that's okay. Just pull it as tight as you can. If it gets tangled, that can happen. Try to be patient with it and try to see if you can untangle it and then pull it through. I know it can get really, really frustrating though. This guy does not want to settle down, so that's okay. It'll probably be fixed in the next time I stitch. I'm just going to keep on going as much as I can around here, and then I will show you once I get to the top, the baker's twine thing. You guys might remember me using this if you ever watched my felt air freshener video. If you wanted to, you can use the same methods in that for making a felt ornament. So that's more in case you don't feel like stitching stuff, you can just glue things down. But anyways, I'm using this. I don't really know the colors I'm using quite yet, but I might use a pink one just for fun. So yeah, once I get there, even if I decide to switch threads, and I'll show you guys how to do that later, I'm going to just keep going around for now. But when I switch threads, I'm probably just going to stitch this on. Okay, so I'll show you guys that in a bit. Ah, yeah, I got a knot. It happens so much. It's so frequent when it's happening already, obviously, because when things are long, it will tangle, especially if you're working quickly too. I find that happens quite frequently. My husband gets really frustrated with that, but I feel like it's inevitable. Maybe people have a trick to not have this happen to them. I can figure out how to get out of it vast majority of the time, but it doesn't always happen. So I just like to pull and try to make the double thread kind of equal. And you can do this with embroidery thread and all sorts of stuff too. Embroidery thread is going to have a lot more thread to deal with, but you will be able to see if you like the stitches, they will show up a little bit better. Okay, there we go. Doing lots of nodding, being naughty. Okay, sometimes I like to guide it with my finger here and there too, just to help it along, but that doesn't always help. I'm telling you, this thread sometimes. I also sometimes find when it's really tight, this knot, you have to go right in and help it out like that. I see, so it's knotting on its own over here. This one's being extra stubborn. There. It's just taking forever. Oh my god. Sorry about that, guys. That's crazy. Okay, let's see if the next one will be any better. It's always really hard for me to start off. And I just did this. I literally just made an ornament. There we go. Now we're getting into a groove. Okay, it's a lot faster now. My husband can do this so fast. Once he gets going, he always beats me. I'm always struggling to keep up with him. But anyways, he loves doing this when he gets in the groove of it. It's really fun. I'm trying to make sure that everything's kind of aligned as well. I know if you have a more rough looking edge, it may not look so aligned. But yeah, it's interesting. I always do this. I always make it big at first and then it gets smaller or not as far apart. It's closer together. This always happens to me. This is why I always try to make my stitches match the fabric, because I don't love my stitches standing out so much. It doesn't look good, I find. And this is getting really hard to do here. So I'm just gonna make a knot here and tie things off. So I'm just gonna go back through where I just went. So hopefully this knot isn't as obvious. Okay, see how it's getting much shorter, so it's very difficult to knot it. I should have done it a lot sooner than this, but anyways. Oh no, can I even get in here? Oh, I can't. Oh shoot, come on. Oh shoot, come on. Oh my god. Yeah, okay, I'll show you a little later better than this. But anyways, just gonna tie that off. Just have a little tiny bit of thread here. Trim that right there. Okay, so I'm just gonna re-thread my needle with some longer thread here. And hopefully it doesn't get as knotted as it did. But I don't know, I find myself doing this at least 3 or more times during one of these kind of projects. It depends on how big your project is too. Look, that knotted on its own right there. See, this thread knots very easily. This is just some regular thread. I don't even know. I just picked it up online, I think, a while ago. Got a whole bunch of different colors. Whoops. Sometimes it's really hard to thread the needle. Okay. This guy's rolling away. There we go. Cut here. Try to line this tail up. Okay, so before I actually start going around again, I'm gonna adhere this guy. So I'll show you guys on this side. So this is the back side, and I'm just gonna do a few knots. I'm gonna do one in between. So I'm just going back behind it. Okay, I'm just doing the same thing I did before. So I'm just not gonna go all the way through. I'm just gonna kind of go around, make a loop, right? And then I'm just going to knot it by going through the loop there. Pretty straightforward if you think about it. So I'm just gonna do a couple knots on this exact area just to make sure it's secure. And then I'm gonna wrap it around both. I'm just gonna cut this just because this can get really confusing right here. I'm gonna try not to cut it right where the thread is. Okay, so I'm just gonna go behind it again. So this might look like a big old mess on the back. Hopefully it doesn't too much. I'll turn it around in a second. We'll see how bad it looks. But if you have matching thread, it really helps to hide it a little bit. So I think that's going to be fairly secure. Yeah, so you can barely actually see that. You can see it, but it's not that bad. I'm sure no one would notice it because once we decorate this ornament, it's going to look super, super cute. And if you want to, you can do another knot here just for good measure. Oh, look at this. Look at this tangle. Oh my goodness. You crazy thread. Crazy thread. Come on. Look at this. This is a big old mess right here. Yeah, sometimes it's really hard not to scream and cry when you see messes like that, like a big bird's nest. But I just kind of laugh through things now when things happen because it's almost like inevitable. People always stop creating because, you know, they see messes happen or they feel like they're making a mistake and then they think they're being a failure. But it's like, mistakes are going to happen. That's just a part of life. It's taken me a while to realize that over time, but it's totally a thing, right? It just takes a moment. I'm just going to start doing this here. I'm just going to go back to this. But yeah, mistakes happen, guys. I mean, I want to say don't even stress about it, but I know people are going to get stressed no matter what you say to them and do. But all I can say is just, it's gonna happen. It happens to everybody. I've been crafting for, I don't know, forever, doing art and stuff since I was a kid, and honestly, it's how you grow. I'm sure you've heard it before. You grow by making mistakes. It's just part of life, you know. I'm gonna cut this off. I already made a knot here, as you guys probably saw there. Actually, I'm gonna do a little bit closer. I'm gonna try not to cut this actual big thing thread. I'll cut that better later. Okay, now we're back here. What is going on here? Did I not? Okay, well, this is interesting. Okay, well, what I'm gonna do here in this case, because I apparently didn't have something go all the way down. I don't normally like to do this because this is really unprofessional. I'm just gonna snip that off. Why the heck not? It already looks like a mess here. Am I gonna have to redo this? I might have to redo this. Yeah, yep. Okay, snip this. And then pull this stuff out. Redo. So you can easily take your needle and do this, or you can take a seam ripper and you can get the seams out as well. I think I have a seam ripper, but I just don't want to break it out right now. If you've got one though, it might help. It might also help if you have scissors like this to just cut this and just pull it out. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna actually take this opportunity to, I know this is a lot left over still, this thread, but I don't like throwing out a ton of stuff, but I could work with that for a bit, but I'm gonna just make things a little easier for myself and just do a lot of thread here, but not so much that it tangles constantly. As you guys know, that sucks when that happens. Okay, I seem to be, instead of going from behind, I'm kind of going in front like that. But that's okay, you could do it either way. Whatever's easiest for you, and actually it's probably faster to just go in front. Okay, this is getting twisted a lot. I'm getting kind of close to the end of this thread. I might just do one more and then call it quits here. Okay, so right here is where, it's kind of where I stopped on the other side there. So yeah, you can go a long way with one big strand of thread. I'm not even sure how long that was. I just eyeballed it, but I'm just gonna stop here. So I just knotted that. I'm just gonna cut that real close. Okay, and then I'm just gonna start going around again, and I'll probably end up finishing it. So I'm gonna stop probably around maybe closer to here, and I'll stuff this thing. I mean, you could even start stuffing it now if you really wanted to, just so that you can get in some crevices. I might actually do that. I'm gonna stuff the head at least here. And there's a few little tricks you can do too if you want to stuff things a little bit easier. It's a little trick that my mom taught me. So you can take a chopstick or you can take a wooden spoon. So I should be decluttering stuff like this, but I like to use, so this one's a cracked spoon and you can't really use it for a lot of things, but I like to use it in my sewing room. Better than having to go and buy a new one just to do this sort of thing. But yeah, I just like to take a little bit of stuffing at a time. So say I can't really stuff this because it's a little harder to get in the small areas like an arm. So I like to stuff by going in and just stuffing it a little more tightly with, as I said, like a chopstick or the end of a wooden spoon like this. Doesn't have to be wooden either, but as long as it has a handle, that I think helps to stuff this in a decent way. So I'm just going to stuff these two because those are going to be a little harder to reach, I think, when I start really stuffing this thing. Once I'm done this, I might stuff a little bit in there too before I really get to the end. So I'm just going to keep this ball handy here. I'll put it off to the side, but I'll keep it handy. Okay. I'm just going to also trim this a little bit because it's looking a little crazy there. But yeah, it's starting to look a little bit better though, right? Yeah, you can stuff it as much as you want or as little as you want. It doesn't have to be stuffed the exact same way mine is. So I'm just showing you one way of doing things, but there's so many different ways of doing things, as you know. On my channel, I talk about how many different ways you can do things. It's crazy. Like, you don't have to just do a felt ornament for Christmas. You can do so many different types of ornaments. You can do felt, you can do also different fabrics. Felt is a little stiffer, I find, but you can also stiffen fabrics. There are products on the market like stiffeners. You can probably glue felt to other fabrics to make beautiful designs. There's so much stuff you can do, guys. So this is just one simple way of doing things. You can make it as elaborate or as simple as you want. Okay, let's start again. Okay, I'm going to stop here for just a second. I'm going to do a little bit more stuffing here, just with the arms. So I'm just going to take off a little bit. And I've had stuff where there's gaps in my sewing and sometimes the stuffing will come out of it if I stuff too hard or just because maybe the gaps are too big. So that'll happen sometimes, but I don't know. I don't really worry too much about that sort of thing. I'm just going to stuff that a little bit in there. You can use a spoon if you want to help you out a little bit, but you don't necessarily have to. You might put a little bit extra where the neck is because it feels like it needs more structure there, more stuffing there. Okay, coming together. So what I'm going to do also, I'm going to cut this part off because I don't need this big tail like I have. Alright, so I'm just going to keep going until I get to about here, and that's when I'm going to start stuffing the legs and stuff. Yeah, I think what was happening at the beginning was I was going behind it and I think it was knotting things a little bit easier. So I think going in and then going through like that helps a lot more with less knotting. I think I always think that I have to do that at the beginning, but then it doesn't really work out the way I wanted it to. I have to regroup and come up with a new plan. See, this is why I make videos like this, so I can show what to do along the way and my own self-improvement. Actually, I think I might just go all the way to the crotch area and then just stuff more here, because then it's a little easier to stuff this way. It just makes stuffing easier when you stuff all the way along. But yeah, if you guys have different shapes, try to figure out where it's going to be easier to stuff certain sections and like what sections don't need to be stuffed all that much. I feel like it's easier to stuff these guys and then stuff these guys afterwards. Alright, getting close to the finish line. Anyways, I'm gonna just do another knot here to finish this off. Just knotted that, and you can knot it a couple times if you'd like. Alright, got a little bit left over here. There really wasn't that much stuffing at the beginning either, right? Put that back in the stuffing bag. Fluff it. So there you go. It's not the most perfect gingerbread in the world, but it's a good base to decorate. Okay guys, I brought out just a few things to decorate with. There's so many ways to do this. If you want to, you can use puppy paint. There's lots of different ways to do this. You can glue stuff down, hot glue, clear glue, whatever you want to do. There's lots of fabric glues and things like that out there, but this really works, I find, if you let this dry. This is a white dimensional fabric paint, slick style, but you can get all sorts of ones too, like sparkly ones and whatever. But this is a shiny finish by Tulip, and then Tulip also has this brown, which is very chocolatey looking in case you want a chocolate look to things as well. So those are options. I'm going to probably just use the white for this. I have sprinkles that I made for another video out of boondoggle. I just cut it up and made it look like sprinkles, and you can do whatever colors you'd like. You can get confetti sprinkles. These are all fake sprinkles, by the way. They're not real. These are more caviar sprinkles if you want to go with sprinkles. These are kind of more like these but smaller. These ones are also just clay bits that I bought on AliExpress. These ones are more star-shaped ones. Do you see that? So I have that. I also have these Christmassy ones. Some pearls in there, penguins, blue snowflakes, some blue and white sprinkles. And then this is actually more of a Halloween-y one, but I just like the black balls in this that I might end up using. But they have bats in these sprinkles. And then these caramel looking colors of sprinkles. There's also gold balls. And you can get all sorts of different mixtures online. I think I got some of them in an Etsy store, but you can also get stuff on AliExpress if you don't mind waiting for things, or Temu or whatever. There's all sorts of places you can go. So there's that, which I kind of wanted to do for the eyes. I might do some eyes or something here. We'll see what I can do with that. Or I might end up using this, which they just really want to roll. Or I might end up doing something like this s'mores thing I got on Etsy, a very small thing. I didn't know it was going to be this small, but anyways. It's a s'mores pack. So I got some chocolate looking dots and some marshmallows and some caramel bits. So that might also be good for eyes. You can play around with that. So I'm not sure which ones I'm going to use. I might use this or I might use that. I'm not sure. So there's that. And also if you want to, you can use M&Ms. These ones are quite big, so I don't know if I'm going to use them, but you can use them for buttons or embellishments or something. Yeah, these are probably too big for this, but I used them as a nose, and I'll show that to you in a sec. I used it for a nose for one of my other ornaments that I did. So I'm going to start off with the eyes. You might want to actually test this out because sometimes it spreads out in a weird way, but you might want to test it out on a scrap piece of paper or something like that. I'm just going for it, I guess. I think these might be a little too heavy. I might just go for the chocolate centers of the eyes. Squish that down. Oh, it looks like crazy eyes. I probably should have separated it a little bit more. I probably would have looked way cuter. One eye is bigger than the other for sure. I guess it's more funny that it's not perfect. Okay, so what am I gonna do for the buttons? I could do confetti, different colors or something of the confetti sprinkles maybe. Definitely want a pink one in there just for that. Maybe that looks pretty, right? I don't know, maybe the green would look nice too. Ooh, I don't know. I kind of like the extra pop of color that the orangey corally color made, so let's just do that for fun. Let's do four colors, because I think that's kind of pretty. I really do like the green though too. That looked nice. So it's just basically decorating a gingerbread cookie with all the different fun sprinkles and stuff. Right at the crotch there. You can use tweezers. That gives you a little bit more stability if it's easier for you to work with. I'm just gonna use my nails. Luckily I have some right here. Okay, it's starting to look super cute. Let's see, what else can I do here? You can put hair on it. Okay, I'm just gonna do a regular smile. So it looks like you're decorating an actual gingerbread. Man, add some icing details. And you can always outline the whole thing too if you want to. I think that sometimes these little details just add enough touch. If you want to, you can just add sprinkles in here just to make things extra fun and colorful. Kind of like just the white icing, to be honest. So I'm gonna just take a paper towel here. Just gonna take a paper towel before I stick the lid back on. Oh, I think he looks pretty cute. I might fix up the lips a little bit. Right here. There we go. I don't know, he's kind of cute on his own. I could have put this down, but I feel like that would have been too overwhelming for this guy. But yeah, you could give it some hair, add some caviar sprinkles or something. But I kind of like him on his own. I think the simplicity of this guy is super cute. I like his rainbow buttons. I think that they're a really pretty way to finish this guy off. So yeah, that's pretty much my guy. You can do so many different things. You can add berries to it. Again, there's so much you can do. If you have a whole bunch of fake food stuff, you know, you could add chocolate, as I said, chocolate for the hair. But I feel like the chocolate, it's not enough of a contrast. I think the white shows up really nicely because it's more of a contrast with the dark chocolatey cookie that I have here. You can add a little bow. You can make it look however you want. I'm just going to keep it simple, but yeah, you can totally play around. So much you can do, guys. I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna show you how it looks on the tree, and I'm also going to show you other stuff my husband and I've done in the past. Okay, so here's our lovely Christmas tree. Just excuse the stuff behind. So we have a lot of ornaments that are handmade hanging on the tree, some from us. You guys might recognize these guys. I have a few of those. This one of my friends made. It's beautiful. I should totally ask her how it's made. I'm assuming she used either air dry clay or some sort of baked clay, and then she painted it and glazed it, and then I think used some yarn. But it's so pretty. We like to hang that on the tree every year if we can. Okay, so this is most of the ornaments I've made and my husband has made over the years. This one I think I just sort of winged it. I made it without a pattern in the past year before I started doing die cutting. But yeah, you can just wing it and make it yourself. I don't really love how I did the back. I put this on afterwards because I forgot to put this in. But yeah, you can always cut it a little hard or whatever you want, I guess. And then just stick it down just with glue to make it hang on the tree. So this guy's not dry yet, so I'm just going to try to avoid him as much as possible. But I made that guy one year, and I think the next year I made these little gingerbread guys. I like to make food stuff for the tree, different colored buttons, but same sort of things going on here. I didn't put them on with puffy paint, I just did with glue, and I don't think I stuffed the arms because they're too hard to stuff. They're very small, so just stuff the head and the body. You can also do that. You don't really have to stuff the whole thing. But yeah, these guys look like Grover to me. I think it's the nose. Adding noses kind of makes them look more muppety. This guy, yeah, I'm not tremendously happy with. This puffy paint kind of blends in. I don't love the eye, how that turned out. The puffy paint, eventually gravity happens and it sort of sags down. So that's another thing that you might have to worry about with puffy paints, but hopefully this will remain semi-puffy. We'll see. We'll leave it overnight and see how it goes. But yeah, my husband used some pom-poms for this guy, for his nose, to make it a little more 3D and stick out. But yeah, he used a lot of fabric glue and let it dry. This is foam. I don't think he stuffed the shoes. It's just a flat piece of felt. Yeah, I think he just glued it on. But yeah, you can sort of see he used a Sharpie to make his own pattern on the back here. And then I think he might have glued this on before he glued the sack on. It looks like he attached this sack by sewing it as well. He did a lot of work on this one. There's also a little pom-pom for the Santa hat. So he used a few different size pom-poms, which is really cute. He's very clever. He's very creative and clever. But yeah, so he did something similar for this guy. Just used a little ribbon, glued it around like that. So it was kind of like, don't look at the back, right? But yeah, looks really nice in the front though, for sure. It's the same thing with this. You could have done the back side, but he just wanted to let things dry and put it on the tree, I think. And then I really like how the cat peach turned out. I think it's really cute. That was another year he did that, a couple years ago. The most fine, finicky detail. He even put like a little gem on the crown, little pearls, earrings on her. But yeah, that's pretty much so far our felt ornaments that we've done. We'll probably do some more in the future, but that's pretty much the felt ornaments that we've made. Because this is a relatively new tradition for us. We've been together together for quite a few years, but something that my husband kind of wanted to start doing. And I think it's a really, really cute tradition. So if you want, you can make it your own tradition too. It's up to you. But yeah, I really, really like doing this. And so does he. It's a fun one. So I'll let this dry and close out this video. So hopefully you guys like that and all the different types of ornaments we've done over the years. So that's the end of the video. I just wanted to show you all the different types of felt ornaments we've done. So obviously you don't have to do just this shape, and just wanted to come on and show how to do a blanket stitch in case you don't know how to do that. Obviously there's lots of tutorials that probably do it better on the internet, but I feel like it is fairly friendly if you're kind of new to stitching. It sort of does the trick. Obviously, if you don't like your stitches to show, there are other different types of stitches out there. You can even turn the whole fabric inside out and stitch from the inside and then flip it out, and then the area that you leave open, you can obviously stuff the fabric there and then just do stitches there as well. So I just did a simple gingerbread guy, but yeah, you can do whatever you'd like. You can make it as elaborate as you want. You can always dress it up however you want. As I said, you can put stuff around the outside, like outline or something like that. You don't have to use a specific color. If you find a tan material for gingerbread, that's probably even better because then it looks more like a nice actual gingerbread cookie. If you wanted to, if it's a lighter color, you can always paint the edges with a brown color, make it look like a baked cookie. I wanted to do, I don't think it would look that great though, but this is why I didn't do it. But I wanted to do icing hair, do a bunch of icing, and then just add some sprinkles to it. Honestly, in the end, I kind of just like the way it is. And you can do it simple like this. You can do it more elaborate, whatever you'd like. I know normally I'm very extra, but yeah. I decided to just leave that. But yeah, anyways, if you guys like this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe and share the video in case you think somebody is gonna enjoy this. Anyways, happy holidays, and either way, just have a good day, okay? Take care. Bye!